All right. Hello, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us for Multiply Your Results last week and for this special Q&A call that is just for you having attended the Multiply Your Results event. Now, here's how this is going to go. It's going to be really fun and interactive. If you haven't joined a hot seat coaching session with us before, you are in for a treat. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Mikey Stiller, the CEO and co-founder of Voss Coaching Co., and I'm going to bring on my business partner and, of course, the man of the hour, your coach, Araj Vasugi. And if I spotlight us both, you can imagine that the Q&A time is going to look like this, but with your picture where mine is at. And you're going to get to talk to Araj, strategize with him, reverse engineer your goals, and ask him any questions you like. Maybe there's something that came up during Multiply Your Results that you weren't quite clear on, or maybe you have an obstacle that you're not sure how to overcome. This is the perfect call for you to get answers to all of those questions so that you can move forward and truly create a breakthrough in your life. All you need to do is at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there should be a button with a heart that says react. And once you click that, towards the bottom, there's another button that says raise hand. Once your hand is raised, I'll know that you have a question for Araj and I'll be able to bring you on with him to ask your question. If for some reason you can't come on video or you're not prepared to ask your question yourself, you can put it in the chat and I will ask it for you. So before we get started, and while everybody's going ahead and raising their hand, Araj, how are you doing?
Great, Mikey. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, Multiply Your Results was filled with so many concepts. And so my question for you is, having just come off of that, how would you have prepared for a Q&A call, or what would your big takeaway have been as far as getting into action on those concepts?
Well, whenever you do a Q&A, you always want to be prepared. So you have to have a good understanding of where you are, what your challenges are, and write them down on what questions you have for the best way to attack it. I think for me, I'm always saying blind action is the enemy of execution. And most people are doing blind action. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is showing people who they really are, not who they pretend to be. Think about, we live in a world where the majority of people shrink. They have a problem, but they want to run away. And you're never going to create anything close to who you really are by running all the time. And I've turned runners into attackers and really attacking their weakness, because that is telling us a story. And you're going to constantly sabotage yourself of who you can be. It's one of the things that I watch in the goal achievement process. So let me give you an example. Everything we accept is our goal. So when I say, let's say for me, because I don't want to project it on you all. Let's say I say, I'm never going to be able to do this. My goal is I'm never going to be able to do it. Every time I start tapping into the weakest version of myself, that becomes my goal. So we've got to start getting really serious about this life we're living. My mentor used to always tell me, Araj, stop screwing around. You only got one shot at this. And he got that so ingrained in me. And he said, life could be as beautiful as you want it to be, or the greatest struggle. I chose beautiful, because I fell in love with that's a better way to live. And when you go through a training like this, I told you guys, you want to turn your notes into a game plan. But if you look at why the top 1% are the top 1%, number one, they always step up and step out. They're not interested in running. They're interested in doing whatever it takes. And they're not interested in really conforming. Most people are stuck because they're always conforming. They have to be liked. And that's just not what's going to take you there. Once your purpose drives you, and your purpose is greater than anyone's opinions, you're going to be off to the races. What else is the top 1%? They control themselves. They know they can't control the outside, so they just focus on how I can get better. How can I master myself? I always say there's two different types of people. I shared it in the training, and you may not have picked it up because you're going to pick up what you understand. There is the consumer mindset that's always saying, I'm going to do this when this happens. How much does this cost? Then there is the growth mindset that says, how much will it cost me if I don't do X? How much will it cost me if I don't do this study? If I don't get the proximity? If I don't get the action? One of the keys that I will tell you, I was telling Mikey this morning, where I was at Starbucks in line to get a coffee, and she called me. And I told her, I said, proximity changed my life more than anything else, because you become who you're around. And I remember, I always brag about my mentor because he was like a second father to me. And if he said something, I did it. But when I first got mentored by him, he said, wherever I go, I want you there. He said, forget about the cost. How much is it going to cost you not to come, Arash? He said, all of this is on your dime. And I just said, okay. I reluctantly said, okay. But I said, okay, because I knew my way wasn't working. But that proximity changed my life immediately. And you may not say, oh, it didn't change it. No, I swear to you, within 30 days, I had a massive quantum leap. Now think about the proximity you're around. Proximity is who we become. So really understand proximity is key.
God, that's such a good point, Araj. I'm okay. I'm going to go ahead and get into questions. I have some questions of my own that I might ask you towards the end. But for now, I'm going to remove myself. Jill, I saw your hand up first. I'm going to go ahead and bring you on with Araj, and it's all yours.
Hi, Raj.
Hi, Jill. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. I have a money question about my money story for you.
Okay.
This came up in Quantum Leap coaching, and then you discussed it again in Multiply Your Results. And so I did a little reflecting on that. And I retired from a 32-year career in healthcare 4 years ago. And I did that so I could kind of have more of an adventure at this point in my life. And so, but everything that I'm doing is volunteer. And so I think I undervalue what I'm doing now. But I don't have a business. I'm maybe building more of a brand persona. But at the same time, I'm feeling kind of guilty about thinking I should get paid for what I do and what I know. And I'm trying to understand that aspect of it.
Well, if you're feeling guilty, that's an identity problem that we've got to attack. So that's self-worth right there. Okay. Guilt is the worst thing we can feel. It's the lowest vibration. It's worse than fear. If you've ever studied Force versus Power by David Hawkins, he has a vibration chart of the highest vibration to the lowest vibration, and guilt is one of the lowest. So number one, you've got to do exactly what I just said, step up and step out. Because every time, if you want to do charity work, do charity work. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great thing to do. However, I would feel more guilty of not charging my worth than being afraid to charge it. See, because unless somebody has skin in the game, Jill, they're not going to take it seriously. But here's the dangerous part. You are training yourself that I'm on a subconscious level to not charge. And I don't think that's a good place for you to be. Okay. Money is never, ever the cause, but it's our relationship to money. So I would ask a different question. Why am I not charging? Why am I feeling guilty? Then you're going to go and it's going to activate a lot of stories. And then you got to look at the stories and say, I'm coming from my past now. So now I'm not creating, I'm reacting. So we're creative beings. Everything you and I do right now is creating our future. So this is part of your comfort zone that we got to really blow through the roof. You're at a stage in your life that you quit your corporate job. You were there for 33 years, right? Now you have a blank script. You get to write whatever you want on this script. But the more you're willing to charge, the more you're raising yourself, because you're going to tell yourself, I've got to continue to improve if I'm going to charge. That's the beautiful thing about charging. And like I have a group called the Pinnacle Club. And there's 7 people in this group. And I wasn't even going to create this class. I had a client, she's like, Arash, I want to do what's next for me. And she'd done everything with us. And I said, Mary, you made me better. So I created something much higher level for those type of people. But I wanted to give the value, so I had to increase my value in what I was teaching to that group. So that's how I would look at it. I would say, what if I said this, and you don't have to answer this, but what if I said, this story is complete BS? You would agree with that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I would say this is just an opportunity. I wouldn't look at it good or bad. I would look at it just as it is, and this is an opportunity that I want to start working on where I get to get better. That's one of your insecurities that you could turn into a strength, and you could continue creating more impact the more valuable you become. And that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, I was reflecting on that aspect of it a little bit because I thought, I could have more impact in this arena where I'm working, and I could also invest more in myself to get better, which is putting myself in proximity at different events and things like that. But I was just feeling like this resistance to claiming my worth, I guess.
Jill, let me ask you, remind me where you live.
Right now I live in northern Lower Michigan.
Okay. Are you coming to my Transform event?
I don't have plans to currently.
I would get there.
Okay.
I would not, but I'm going to challenge you this. Based on what you're telling me, you just brought up proximity. Why don't we alter your identity today? You get there. I'm telling you, by the time you leave, you're going to be a different person. It's a very low investment. It's $500. It'll be the highest return that you'll ever get in 48 hours. Now, whether you do it or not, it's up to you. But I'm telling you intuitively, you need to be at that event.
Okay.
I will tell you that. Okay. I will bust you through this, and I will personally create a process for you on this exact thing for you.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Sure.
All right. Thank you, Jill. Phil, you're up next.
Yeah. Hello, Arash. Hello. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. Good to see you, Phil.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, Arash. I'd like to come back on something I already asked you before, and I chewed on it, and I still like to more some clarity. Last time you said us literally, do not ask how, instead ask what and who. Okay. Mm-hmm. But in our peak performance class, I picked up, you said you need to have a plan. And I chewed on it and said, okay, I need some clarity about it, because the how is the plan. And you said, don't ask the how. So I'm a bit confused.
The how is not the plan.
Okay.
The how is never the plan.
Okay.
The plan is, who do I need to become? What are the strategies my goal demands? And the how shows itself. So I will tell you, if you want to use the how question, where the how comes into fact, when the why is big enough, the how always shows itself. So how to do something is coming from your paradigm. How is a very disempowering question. Well, how am I going to do that? It's the wrong question. We have to understand the what and the who. What is the type of person that I have to become to achieve that goal? What are the strategies that my future self would be operating with to achieve that goal? Well, what do you know? Once you start asking the empowering questions, the how shows itself. The how will literally show itself. But I can relate to you, because I will tell you this. When I first started studying this, I didn't have a plan. I still don't have a plan. My plan always evolves the more I constantly retrain my subconscious mind. The challenge people have, Phil, is they don't know how to reprogram their subconscious mind.
Okay.
They're using all these different philosophies. They'll read all these books, They'll go on all these different YouTubes. So what they're doing is causing distraction instead of locking in with one person and going so deep with that one person. And so what happens is they have all these counter priorities. So for me, once you eliminate the distraction, you lock in, and everything comes from your future self and your goal. Like everything I think about is from the goal. So what would the person who achieved my goal do? Then I do that. I just accept that idea. I'm just doing it. I may not know how to do it, but I know if I take that first action, the next action shows itself, and the next action shows itself. What people are wanting to do, Phil, is they're wanting to change without having the proximity. They're wanting to change without changing. They say, no, I want to change. I read the books. I listen to the podcasts. But then it's kind of like what I just told Jill, the action. If Jill takes that action today, massive transformation of her identity. She's going to feel different. Every day we want to keep transforming our identity, and it's not these big ideas. It's the little things compounded every 90 days that are going to create massive quantum leaps. So I could tell you, if I could tell you one thing to do, would be get out of your head and get into your heart. Your heart always guides you. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, that's not my line, okay? Why? Because we have another brain in our heart. And what we have to understand is when we're using our analytical mind, we're shutting off our subconscious mind and we're willing all the results. And you know what will start happening? This other voice will come in and say, how in the hell am I going to do this? Is this really going to work? I've been trying this for years. I've been trying this for decades. Like I had a client who I was working with, Phil, and he did my Quantum Leap coaching program. And he had been studying this for 10 years and created no results. And in 4 months, he more than doubled his income. And I asked him, I said, what was it? He said, I stuck to the exact processes in Quantum Leap coaching that you taught me. It wasn't just the philosophy, it was the exact direction. That's what I do with people. That's what I'm doing with you in our Peak Performers class. But I want you to let go completely. I want you to put your trust into me and do it until you find out what I'm saying doesn't work. It works 100% of the time for anybody who works it. But we can't work it once a week. We can't work it 3 days a week. This is a way of being, and this is a way of thinking. So as you do that, you're going to change your life.
Okay, I understand it, and I fully understand and I buy it. But what is your definition of the word plan?
Plan, ever changing. I've never achieved a big goal that I had the initial plan. For me, everything comes from intention. So how I set my plan is I already know that it's not going to be the exact plan I set. So I'm more interested, did I radically accept the idea? Until I radically accept it, it's just a wish or a hope. You'll know when you radically accept it because you stop letting outside conditions and circumstances control you. When they're controlling you, you catch it, okay?
Okay.
But we have to be flexible because the universe always has a better plan for us once we do the rewiring of our subconscious mind. Once we practice certain habits in a certain way. So once we keep transforming our standard and our identity. Standard, like right now, you're listening to me from your standard, okay? But standard gets us to see the world differently. Standard sheds our old identity. Now you'll listen to this again, this recording, and you're gonna pick up something completely different than you're picking up right now. Why? Because your awareness is growing each time. The repetition and getting in the spirit of the repetition is what does it. So when I used to be coached, and I still have a coach, But when I get coached, you know what I do before I go into any coaching session? I completely detach my way of being. I want to open my heart so I don't block any ideas. I used to do that all the time. You know, I may have disagreed with my mentor, but I would always ask him, let me tell you what's coming up for me, and then we'd work through it. But I would always be completely transparent and really vulnerable. Like if you're going to be really a good mentee, you've got to allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's okay if you say, hey, I didn't do this. Because you know what my question would be? Why? Mm-hmm. And then you'll be like, that's a hell of a question. Why didn't I do this, right? So the thing is I'm not interested in perfection. I'm interested in pivoting forward. What'll happen is you'll start taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Then you'll take 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Then you're going to start taking 4 steps forward, 1 step back. You see the progression?
Yep.
And that's how you're going to create a massive quantum leap.
Okay. Thank you, Raj. It
Sure.
helps a lot. Yeah.
My pleasure. Great question.
Thanks, Phil. Owen, you're up next.
I think you're muted, Owen.
Yeah. Hey, Raj.
How are you, Owen?
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to learn this stuff. I just got started about a month ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I feel very overwhelmed. I listened to your, I was on the Multiply Your Result last week. And yeah, my back is against the wall. I'm in debt. And yeah, I could go on, but I want to change.
Okay, so let's look at this neutrally, okay? Overwhelmment is an emotion that does not serve you, okay? So let's let that go, and let's focus on, let's look at the debt for a second, okay? A lot of people's problems that they obsess about is not what they think their problems are, okay? The problem came from your past. So I remember when I was in a lot of debt. If you know my story, when I was first starting this, my back was severely against the wall.
Yep.
And one day I woke up and I said, I can't keep focusing on the debt. It's just gonna put me in quicksand, is what I said to myself. And I said, from this day forward, I'm going to put all my attention on creating financial freedom. That's what I want you to do. Okay? Now you're going to think you're lying to yourself. And what I want you to understand is the debt came from your past. It's not coming from your present, where you are right now. Because you've only been doing this for a month, you're transforming your identity just being on this call with me. Okay? Just asking this question. And I will tell you, if you will just follow through and do the repetition, you're going to see, give yourself every 90 days, see where you're at. Okay. But what I want you to do, Owen, is I want you to do your action steps. Look at your goal. Can you tell me what your goal is?
It was 1.8 for this year, but I'm not even half there yet.
That's okay. Don't change your goal. Don't change the goal.
Okay.
You just have the wrong timeline. Okay. This year isn't done yet. We work with impossibilities. We make the impossible possible. So if you look at the person who's earning 1.8, what's the most you've ever earned in a year? 900?
Yep.
Okay. So you know you could do 900. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to have the same attitude and relationship with 1.8 as you do 900. It's no different. It's just every goal that is out of our comfort zone that we've never done. It doesn't mean the goal is harder. It's just different. So if I can get you to start seeing yourself at 1.8, you're going to take yourself tremendously to a different place. Like if you look at the 900. So I looked this up this morning. I was just curious about it. The numbers kind of shocked me. The top 10% in the US is 167,000 in earnings a year. The top 5% is 365,000. The top 1% is 819,000. And the top 1% of 1% is 3 million. So right now with what you're earning, you're in the top 1%. That doesn't mean you're keeping it. It just means what you earn, right? So we want to create a bigger and better strategy from your goal, but you're not going to do it if you're overwhelmed. If when we're in overwhelmment, we're worried about a future that doesn't exist. So we're projecting lack into the future and we're not locked into this present moment. I want you to lock in with me right now. I want you to imagine you and I are talking 12 months from now and you did 2.5 million. How would you feel?
Good.
So what I want you to do is ask yourself, what would I have to do differently than I'm doing right now? My guess is we've got to create well, I know this. I'll tell you what we have to do. Your goal is going to demand a much higher standard, much greater discipline, and much fewer actions at the most important things. I think you're doing too many things. So for you to create a world-class life, I need you to commit to 6 months of sprinting with me. And everything we do is from your strategy. Okay? Everything we do. What program are you doing with me?
The Quantum Leap.
Okay. The Quantum Leap coaching. Now, are you doing the repetition as I designed 4 times each lesson?
I didn't get it all done, but the money one I already did 4.
Okay. I need you to do each one. I don't want you to go to the next one. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. I want you to do it the right way. There's a reason. I don't want you switching, okay? There's a reason. What happens when you listen to something the first time, you're going to pick up 30% of it. You're going to listen to the second time, you're going to pick up another 25%, okay? I just gave you a story of a client in 4 months of that program who more than doubled his income. So we could do the same for you. But I want you to do exactly what I tell you to do, okay? And I will help you. So let's just together today. Let's agree overwhelmment isn't working. Can you agree with that?
I agree.
Can we agree that your debt was from your past? I think you froze on us, Mike. There
You're cutting out. I'm not hearing it. Okay. So let me clarify. The overwhelming is not the money. Well, it is the money, but it's also the workload.
Right?
I just can't get everything done. Like that was my fear when I signed on with this coaching. I didn't know how I'm going to fit that in, but I knew I needed it. So I signed on with it.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is not the workload. The issue is we need to create leverage for yourself. So we've got to get you to stop doing the busy work and start doing your top 20% of activities in your sprints through your goal achieving sprints. Okay? And right now, when we look at our goals, we have to ask ourselves, it comes down to knowing what we want to accomplish and us committing to do whatever it takes to accomplish that. So if you have to wake up an hour early, then you wake up an hour early. You don't have to do that repetition all at once of rewatching the Quantum Leap coaching. You could do it in 20-minute increments. It's creating the right habits. You're attacking it the same way you've always attacked how you work. And it's going to demand you to do it differently. It's going to demand you to understand less is more. And we've got to really eliminate all your distractions. Okay? I want you to do me a favor. I would like you to send me an email of everything that is distracting you right now. and I will create a process for you of what to do and what not to do. How does that sound?
Okay.
All right. You send it to me. Whatever coach you're working with, just get my email from them, and I will get in contact with you and help you with this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Owen, you'll send that to Wendell. Thank you, Owen. Soleil, you're up next, and hopefully I pronounced your name correctly, but please correct me if not.
Hello,
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Arash? You may excuse my English, but I'll try my best to deliver the idea.
I think your
You know,
English is phenomenal.
In the journey of improving myself and trying to be the ideal, achieving the ideal goals, I tried everything, every single coaching, every seminars, and I lost everything. And here where I am now, I remember one time I heard you speak and YouTube. You said it would be really preferable to lose your future self than you win the present self, and this is encouraging. Now in my current situation, like I'm also overwhelmed. I have like a little solution, at least if I be in a job like and where my salary is doubled, at least it will save me at the moment. Like given like I want to do like business and all of that, but this is now I keep it later on, even to improve the I work as a healthcare, so also I want to be in the better position of the job. But right now, based on losing everything, like losing all the money of the 15 years and all of that, like what I think now it's going to save me is my salary will be doubled. At least I'll be in a good situation. So what is the shift? Or yeah, of course you might have the different version for it. So what do I need to think for my current situation?
Well, first off, I can relate to you because for 3 years I invested a lot of money in coaching and didn't create any results, but I realized I was the problem. I wasn't doing it. So I can understand as the first point. Okay. My guess is you were gathering a lot of the information with whoever you got coached by. Okay. So we have to change the philosophy of just gathering information to becoming the information. Now, what do we need to release for you? You've got to let that story go. You've got to let it go. And I'll tell you a story. When I was in the same position and I was talking to my mentor and I said, will this work? And he said, I don't know. Are you going to do what I tell you? I said, well, I've never done anything that anyone's told me. And he said, well, you better start now. He said, if it cost you $1 million to get to me, it's worth it. I don't care what you spent. I can only help you going forward. But your mind has to let go of the loss and start focusing on commitment. If you want to double your salary at your job, you have to make a firm decision that I am going to reprogram my subconscious mind that this is the salary that I am worth. And then you have to make every discipline, every action in harmony with that. But we've got to let go. You're holding on too much to the past. That story is what we have to let go first. Until you let go of the past story, you can never create the new story. So our story is our self-fulfilling prophecy, all of ours. Like my story is my self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why I want to keep crushing my old story and creating a bigger idea of myself. But I want you to use me as an example because it sounds like you have the same similar story as me in some ways. And if I can do it, you could do it. What is the salary that you want?
10,000 US. I think 10,000.
A month?
A month.
This is what I want you to do. I want you to, you don't need to take notes, just rewatch this. I want you to write this out literally 50 times a day. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm earning $10,000 or more every month, and I keep transforming my identity, and it feels great. I only focus on what I want, and it is done. And then I want you to record it. I don't just want you to write it 50 times. I want you to record it, and then I want you to listen to it for 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. We have to bombard your subconscious mind with a bigger idea. And then you've got to get really good from this moment on. We never speak about loss. If you speak about loss, you activate loss in your life. Then loss becomes your goal. Okay?
Yes, I want to elaborate a little bit. Yes, every day, every morning I wake up, I remember the loss. So,
yeah, well, because the loss is what you're focused on.
Yes, and the second thing, like the story now, since I'm working a full-time job and I want a full-time job which is double salary, so the story as I'm telling, this is impossible as well. Most people who's done this one is already in the business. So what you told me is can work in my situation.
Well, number one, you can't wake up with loss. Okay, you're all you are is a walking epitome of a double binding message. So this is never going to work if you don't work with the laws. You're not understanding the laws of your mind. See, you're not thinking right now, you're reacting. We've all lost. Like I've had loss. And I can't focus on the loss if I want to create abundance. You're focusing on lack, saying, why is this not working? Well, you're not working the idea. So every time you start focusing on it, you want to change it. But what's going to happen in 30 days, if you do those 3 things that I gave you, if you do it, you're going to wake up with a completely different feeling. That's why I'll tell all of you, what you guys think are holding you back is not what's holding you back. You have to reprogram your subconscious mind. If you don't reprogram it, it's going to keep showing you the same thing. All of our results tell us how we're wired on a subconscious level. So that's what I'd like you to do, okay? Are you willing to do it every day? Because you have to do this every day.
I have no other choice. I want to do it every day, yes.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Really quickly, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions from the chat, and then we're going to move on to Heidi. The first is, I know my goal is to have $3 million. How do I find or create clarity on the how, deciding what type of business to create?
I'm more interested in you focusing on the behaviors you want, then the how is going to show up. So you don't need to worry about it. Look at yourself. What is the identity of somebody who's earning 3 million? What are their habits? What are the type of actions they take? What is the type of courage they have? What are the type of commitments they have? When you start transforming your behaviors, the how is going to show up. But we want that 3 million to be radically accepted. I don't want you to think of any idea right now from this point on that's not 3 million. And then you have to make that 3 million an obsession where that's all you think from. But we have to behave differently if we're going to create more in our life. Remember this, abundance demands us to be bold. What does that mean? It demands us to work at our future self, not at our present self. It demands us to behave differently. And that's what's going to bring the how into your life.
Okay. The next question, I'm really trying to understand what steps I need to do in order to achieve a quantum leap every 90 days. An example of a quantum leap that I want to achieve in the next 90 days is to finish the year at $275,000.
Okay, well, where are we starting at? So I need more information because the strategy, I would need to know where you are. I know where you want to go by the end of the year, and then we fill in the gap. We want to really look at the cause of what's going to create that 275. So the first thing you're going to have to do for any quantum leap, it's no different than me, is I have to make my elimination list. What do I have to eliminate that is my greatest energy sucker right now, that is creating my greatest distractions? See, a lot of people will just look at a number, 275, then they don't want to do anything with it. Okay, she just sent it to me. I'm currently at 186. So do you want to earn Stacy, do you want to earn an extra 275 or do you want to finish at 275?
Her original question says finish at 275.
Okay, finish at 275. So I would change your goal right now and subtract 275 from, it's not in my chat anymore, whatever you were at.
186, so about $99,000.
So,
oh wait, my math is bad. $89,000.
So well, you're fine with that. Let's make it even better for her.
Okay.
So let's make a definite decision right now, Stacy, that you've accepted this idea, like relentlessly and radically accepted that you're gonna earn an extra 100,000 between now and December 31st or sooner. Now I want you to write out what are the behaviors that you're operating right now that are distracting you. We want to eliminate those right away. Then I want you to look at, so far, what have been your best action steps that you've taken that's created the 186? Those are the action steps that I want you to spend 5 great hours doing every day. And everything that is not that, that's what I want you to release. I think you could double in the next 90 days what you've done for the whole year, if you will eliminate and focus on your most important activities. Now remember, Stacy, this is not busy work. Busy work is keeping us from a quantum leap. These are the activities that are going to move the needle. These are what has created your 186 so far. And then I want you to split your days and only focus on today, that I'm going to do my top 20% of activities that are creating 80% of my results in my 5 great hours.
So good. She said, I commit to accepting the idea. I will also be at Transform and can't wait. Which brings me to my next question. Caesar said, what's the name of the event Iraj said and the dates? I put it in the chat. It's Transform Live, November 18th and 19th. And I put the link in the chat as well. But Iraj, is there anything you want to say about Transform?
I have a new book coming out and it's called Transform. And it's much deeper, higher level of processes. Because as you get better, I get better. And it is something that I recommend if you're serious. I recommend every single one of you being at that event. Now, if you're there, great. If you're not, great. That's up to you. But the reason I recommend it, you're going to leave there on fire with exactly what to do and how to do it. You know, I always say, like we did that 4 hours or so for Multiply Your Results. I can give you so much in 4 hours. But when I work with, like, I look at Heidi, she's been working with me for, I don't know how long, it seems forever, but for a couple years. And, you know, she keeps coming back. Why? Because she understands it. That's what I did. And that's why Heidi's transformed her life. And so that's where you want to go. And if anybody's saying, oh, what is it going to cost to get on a plane? Who cares what it costs? What is it going to cost you not to get on a plane? What is it going to cost? You can't mimic an in-person event of what I'm going to do there. So that's what Transform is.
Perfect. One more question from the chat for now, and then I'm going to get back to the live questions. This is from Yazan. Here there is a war. I'm thinking to join your program, but circumstances will be difficult to start coaching before the war is finished. What can I do?
Well, I understand there's a war, but I will tell you, the one thing that I learned is you have to start before you're ready. Every time you're going to have after the war is done, hopefully it's done today, but after that war is done, there's going to be something else and something else. So you have to act on the idea when the idea is burning hot. I told you that in the training. The training is not going to work for Multiply Your Results if you don't act on the ideas. And I told you have to act on the idea when the idea is burning hot. When you don't, you lose that opportunity and your past self beats you. And your past self just won another battle. So I want you to make a game between you and your past self. I want you to beat your past self every time, or else you're going to keep creating what you did in the past in your future.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Suraj. Heidi, great to see you. You're up.
Thank you. Good to see you both as well. Question for you. The one question I did not ask you when I saw you a few weeks ago was, What right now is my biggest blind spot?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience right now. Look, I'm impatiently patient. That's how I call it. Okay. But you've made so many big transformations. You used to hold back. You used to be the person who said, "Oh, I'm just observing." Now you're taking your confidence is, I would say your confidence, and Mikey, correct me if I'm wrong. You've been around Heidi. I think her confidence has improved 15 times.
At least.
At least. Her behaviors have changed. You're not giving a shit what other people are thinking like you used to. You're acting on ideas at a ridiculous rate. And you're sprinting into your comfort zone. So the quantum leap, I always look at somebody's emotional state. I always know when a quantum leap is happening because where their emotional state is shifted. The last part of us that's going to see the results are our physical. But the emotional always is the prequel to what we're going to attract. So I will tell you, you're going to remember I told you this, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I just had a windfall. And that's what's about to happen for you. So you have to trust my awareness with this. Heidi, I've told so many of my lead clients this, and at first they always trust me, but they go, what are you seeing that I don't see? Because I could see somebody's emotional state. When I see somebody attached, I'm like, they're going the other way. When I listen to somebody's self-talk, they're going the other way. But when I watch them on the reverse, I'm like, this is exactly what you're going to create. And they have it within a month, within 6 weeks. So just stick to it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I love the question though, of what is my blind spot? Because that was a question I used to ask my mentor all the time. It's such a good question.
Suman, you're up next.
Hi, Rush. How are you?
I'm great, Suman. How are you?
I'm very good. I had a question. Philip actually answered the question on one of my questions earlier, but how do I kind of distinguish between giving up on a process or an asset versus releasing it for the greater good of my goal? How do I kind of distinguish that?
Sure, that's a good question. I will tell you to make it very easy for you. If it's depleting your energy and it's a smaller meaning to you than something greater, you want to give it up. You want to give it up. I was this year, like in the summer sometime, I eliminated 75% of what I was doing. They were very productive, what I was doing. Like if I kept doing it, I could have kept doing it and creating great results, but it wasn't a part of my future self. I had to let it go to create it. And when you're willing to let go of things that create financial gain like I did, that's when you're in true abundance. So we've got to get really good, Suman, at watching our energy. Wherever our energy flows, our attention goes, and wherever our attention goes, our intention follows unconsciously. Okay? So ask yourself, does this serve who I want to become? Or is this a distraction from who I want to become? Even if I'm really good at it. So that's what I would look at.
It's very interesting because sometimes I think who I want to become right now is coming from my current paradigm. Like for this question that I asked, it's not only for a process, but it's for holding on to assets versus releasing them, and attachment versus detachment. And right now I'm a little bit confused because sometimes when I'm looking at the evidence, I should hold on. Sometimes I should make way for something new because it's kind of tying down my energy, or sometimes I get confused that am I giving up too quickly? So it's still kind of spinning around in my mind in terms of double binding messages that way. And I just don't know which way to kind of go.
Okay, what if I told you that there's parts of your current paradigm that you want to bring to your future, but there's other parts that you have to create a new paradigm for what you're telling me? Anytime we're holding on to something, just your language, now that's lack. There's fear there. So you want to start observing, is there any fear from it? Now, I don't know what these assets are, so it would be hard for me to give you...
They're properties. I had a conversation. They're properties.
Okay.
Yeah, I did have a conversation with you and Monica before you came to Toronto. And I told you that I was handling calls on a weekly basis from mortgage collectors, mortgage companies coming up with payments. And some of the properties, I can see the value in it 6-7 months down the line. But for a lot of them, is just trying to hold on to it. I sometimes feel that if I just release it, don't get attached to it, just let it go, absorb the loss, it may lead to something better. But sometimes in the same asset or the same direction, I feel that I'm giving up. So I understand that you explained it to me, but I'm still a little bit confused by it. That's all.
Well, intuitively, I think you're coming from a lot of pressure right now. And so I would tell you your current paradigm is not the paradigm you want. The best in the world are the best in the world because they're great quitters. They know when to quit at something. There's a great book that I recommend you get. It's called The Dip by Seth Godin. And he talks about this in the book. It's a very short read, but it's phenomenal. We've been just trained our whole lives, never quit. Never quit. And it's not true. We have to quit at the things that don't serve us. And if you're coming from pressure, you're coming from scarcity. So you can always get new properties. You've got to look at what I'm going to release that will be, I think there's bad pressure and good pressure. Okay. Bad pressure is something that just overtakes us that we don't know what to do. Okay. And so you could create a lot more scarcity for yourself. So what I would tell you is look at the situation neutrally and say, what would serve me the greatest? Because I could always invest in new properties. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So there's never a limit to what we can do. Like I always tell people, like if you lose money, you can recreate it. Don't get attached to that. The biggest thing that I want you to do, Suman, is transform yourself. Until you transform yourself, even your paradigm, never get attached to your paradigm. Like I'm not attached to my paradigm. I'm not saying, oh, this is a good paradigm. I want to crush my paradigm. I want to keep creating better and better paradigms. And so if you go back and even listen to your language, I think it would be good for you. It'd be good for you to watch this clip. You came on probably at 9:52 my time, so you're on the East Coast, 1:52, like at the 52 mark, I would look at this and listen to your language neutrally and say, is that the person's language of the goal I'm going to achieve? See, language is where change starts. Change is always linguistic first. We're either speaking abundance into our lives or we're speaking scarcity. Abundance is never worried about loss. You know who's worried about loss? Scarcity. And one of the biggest things that keeps people stuck is they have fear of loss. We can't be afraid of loss. We have to be willing to lose in order to win. So when you're willing to lose and understand you're a creative being, you could do 25 times better than you're doing right now if you will make this work a part of every cell of your being. So what does that mean? That means we got to release any scarcity you have. That could be mistakes. That could be lack of forgiveness. That could be anger. That could be anger with yourself. We've got to purify our heart. If we have scarcity in our heart, we're going to have scarcity in our lives. And that's how I would look at this.
Thank you. So I'll read the dip, and I will end it at this. That's what I will do. And you've added some clarity. I've been thinking about it for a while. It's just with everybody. It took a lot to acquire these properties, and just having to release that sometimes feels like, all right, I know this is incorrect in my logical mind, but sometimes it feels like you did all of that for nothing.
You didn't do it all for nothing. See, that's a false philosophy. You learned a lot of skills in that. Everything we do every day means something. See, that thinking is not the thinking of your future self. You know what that thinking is? Somebody who's not thinking. Okay, I will tell you that. I work with a lot of leadership companies, and they'll say, it makes me so upset that I put so much energy with these people on the team and then they quit. I said, but you just created a good process for yourself. You became a better leader. There's an invisible result to everything we're doing. So don't look at it that way. That's not a good way to look at it. Okay, and understand everything we're doing and not doing really means something. Every discipline affects the next discipline. So I would look at what parts of it did I grow from, and then you bring that to your future self.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you
so much.
Sure.
Thanks so much, Suman. Farah, you're up next. I think you're muted.
Hey Raj, how are you? Thanks, Mikey. Sorry about that. I just want to say, like, I've been doing this work. I met you through PGI, and Mikey and Monica. You guys are wonderful. Anyone who's on the fence about getting attached to these folks, like, run towards resistance, run towards them. They know what they're doing. I'm a lawyer turned stand-up comedian, writer, actor. I never saw this person within me. Mm-hmm. And it took the work that I did with you guys and obviously Bob. And I'm so happy and fulfilled. And I just want to encourage people who are on the fence, like, do this, run. So right now I'm at a place where I've made so much progress. My sister is my creative partner. We just pitched our movie to Netflix and all these other companies, and we're making really great progress. It's just frustrating because, like, I'm ready to, like, see my bank account start changing. Mm-hmm. And so I guess it's a patience issue. Like, what advice would you give me to, like, just, kind of just really be present? And
this is what I would tell you. Your bank account is going to be the last part that you see. So if you will train yourself to see your bank account as you want it to be, like every night, I want you to tell yourself of what you have in your bank account. Say, it feels so great that I have this in my bank account.
I have something printed with my bank account, like in my statements, like that I look at.
That's good. But now you got to believe it. You're not believing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you believed it, you wouldn't have asked that question.
Right.
And I have nothing against the question. I get it. I do. I get the question. Just remember, our five senses are going to be the last part of us that experience it. Where I want you to focus is you are the best comedian in the world. That you are on Netflix. And you want to see that over and over again. And the bank account happens by default when we work the right processes, when we think in a certain way. And I promise you, hold me to this. I promise you, if you keep practicing your presentations every day, and then you think you can't get it wrong, you practice it again. And you keep promoting yourself. I want you to be your best promoter. You keep putting yourself, opening that space. You and your sister's bank account both are going to go through the roof. So I'm more interested in you because as you transform yourself and grow yourself and get that you're the best comedian in the world. There's no one better than you. And you believe that, I promise you, within months, you're going to start seeing that change. Okay, just stay with that. But you're sending yourself a double binding message right now. So we want to eliminate the double binding message. Okay? I want you to train yourself to see the bank account on a subconscious level. It doesn't matter what we believe intellectually. It matters what we believe on an emotional level. Because our subconscious mind always delivers the dominant of two ideas. That's why double binding messages we have to get rid of. And that's what I want you to do. Okay?
Okay.
All right, great.
What do you mean by this double binding message?
So give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I want a certain income in my bank account, but then I say, I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Double binding message.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like somebody who says they could auto-suggest until they're blue in the face, I'm so happy and grateful now, I'm financially free, and then all day long they're in lack and limitation.
Yep.
Double binding message.
Okay.
Okay? Do not accept that. When that idea comes in, then you say, you know what's so amazing about this? It's on its way. It is on its way. Okay? So now you could change a limiting thought into an empowering thought.
Mm-hmm.
And our thought travels faster than the speed of light. Your thinking is always the prequel of what you're going to attract.
Mm-hmm.
Think about when you're doing an act, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing an act, you're in the spirit of the act, right? You're not wondering, oh, I wonder if people are going to laugh. You're like, listen, I'm giving my best, right? So
Yeah.
I want that same thing to be about your financial blueprint. I want you to get in the spirit of what you want, and your job is to see what you want all day long. And then it's to believe that that is your reality right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do that, you're going to attract, but there's always a delay process in the attraction.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal. Got
I'm
it.
rooting for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Look, I have a client who's similar, just in a different area. And she's going to be on this big show in India as the top chef in India. And I already told her, I said, it's a done deal. It is an absolute done deal. That's what I see for you.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to radically accept that idea. Where can you get better? I'll tell you this right now, Farah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to worry about your spirit. I love your look. Like I don't need to help you become a better comedian.
Yeah.
Where I want to help you is unleash your greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Unleash it by radically accepting what you want at a much higher level. Okay? Like if you and I went on let's say you and I did a contest. Who's a better comedian? Who do you think's going to win?
Me.
Yeah, of course. I do too. I believe you're going to win, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm telling you this, as much as you know comedy, I know this. And I'm telling you, if you will do this, you're going to attract it.
I know.
Right.
Okay.
It looks like
you
you
in November.
froze
I'm not
on
getting
it.
about it. I'm just gonna do it. Sorry, I was saying I'm joining you guys in November.
Oh,
I love
great.
it.
I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to meet you in person.
Likewise.
All right, Farah.
All right.
Thank you, Farah. Araj, I hate to bring this in for a landing because we still have so many hands up, but we are past the top of the hour. Is there any final message you want to leave everyone with?
Let's do two more.
All right. Rubina, you're up next.
Hello, Ash. Hello, everybody. I had the
Hello,
privilege
Rubina.
of meeting you in London, and
Great
I
to meet
still
you
haven't
too.
stopped. I still haven't stopped talking about it.
Oh, thank you. It was great meeting you.
I said I met you at the Savoy, and people's eyebrows lift up. So that was amazing. So thank you so much for that. My question, I'll be as quick as I can because I know you've been so kind to continue. I love your story where you've come from because I am in a similar situation to what you were all those years ago. And I live in a place completely different from what I see around me. I live in the unseen. And I love that place. And I can see things coming towards me. So my question is, when you were in your story all those years ago and you came across Bob, what did you do that enabled you to accept Bob's belief in you? Because I want to accept the belief that you have in this process, but you're there now, and you're moving forward, of course, in your goal. But when you were in that situation, how did you accept that belief? Because you didn't have it initially.
Yeah, it's a great question. I remember what he told me I didn't know if it was going to work. I'd be lying to you if I said I knew it was going to work. I didn't know it was going to work. I'd been studying this for 3 years, so I was basing it on my experiences. But I think the greatest part of me that accepted it was I was neutral when I talked to him. So what he told me went right inside of me, and I told myself, we get off this call, and I said, I'm going to do exactly what this man tells me to do. I said, I'm just going to do I've never done exactly what anyone's told me to do. And I said, for 1 year, I'm going to do exactly what he told me to do. And the biggest thing that I did that changed things right away is I got out of my comfort zone. What happens, Rubina, most people are so in their comfort zone, yet they tell them they're out of their comfort zone. And I literally knew, because I had this resistance, and I do it. I remember I was telling this story about proximity. I had no money, and he's wanting me to go all over to be with him. And I just said yes. I had no idea where I was going to find the money. I just said yes. And within 30 days of getting out of my comfort zone, I went from earning nothing to earning $10,000 a month. I just started inundating my mind with a money consciousness. And then I still was pretty weak, if I really am honest with myself. I was doing better actions, but my identity still was not at that point, but I kept stacking it. Then it became an obsession. It became an obsession. Like, if anyone's in my proximity, I just transfer my standard to them. Like, you saw me speak. But if you're with me long term, I just transfer it, and it becomes their standard, like this. And their results change so dramatically. Like, we have so many success stories with the people who come work with me. I always tell people this. I'm very transparent. They'll say to me, Rubina, like, if somebody asks me if I'm trying to sell them, I said, absolutely, I'm trying to sell you. I can't help you until I sell you, because I can't work with you long enough. But I'm so detached from it because I don't care whether someone does something or not. That's their life. But I do know what our results tell us all the time is how well we understand it. It's how well we understand this. I think all of us, including me, can understand this much deeper. And the most dangerous thing that I ever hear somebody, I know this. I had a world-class wealth event a few weeks ago, and I overheard this one client, and she said, I understand this. And I said, oh boy, that is dangerous. And I'll tell you why it's dangerous. Because they understand it to the level of their current reality, but they don't look at it that way. They do not look at it that way. See, I want us to be beginners every day. I want us to see how can we grow. And when we do that, we're going to step into a new future, a new future, a new future. When I'm talking about your future self, most people are creating it a little bit better than their past and present self. That's not who your future self is. It is a completely different person. And when we do that, now we have a reason. Now we have a reason to build our character. We have a reason to continue getting in the proximity, getting the right coaching. Like, coaching is the biggest cheat code there is, because success leaves clues. It's so different than reading a book, listening to a podcast, which I hope all of you listen to our podcast, but it's so different. It is so different when you have that proximity, because then if you have a great mentor, they're going to put your mirror in front of you, and it's going to feel uncomfortable because a great mentor, their ideas are going to be counterintuitive to your current programming. So I would tell you, get out of your comfort zone, accept the idea, because if I can do it, you can do it. I promise you this.
Thank you so much, Arash. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rubina. Yolanda, you're up next.
Hi, Arash. Hi, Mikey. Arash, it's so good to see you. And I apologize for having my picture up there, but my camera is not working.
No problem.
I just want to say that that I am doing the work. I realize now I'm not doing it as consistently as I thought at first. I was focused on a program that I have, which is a coaching / pranic healing program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with pranic healing, but I actually came out there for one of my courses in Scottsdale. Pranic healing is an energy healing, and it's known far more on the West Coast, but not very much here on the East Coast, if at all. So I have a couple of clients that I've been working with since March. That's when I began. And I've had extremely incredible results. I'm working with asthma patients, and I've taken a couple of people who used to spend time in the hospital, in emergency rooms. They've not been in there since March. And the most amazing part is they've not even needed to use their rescue inhaler more than 2 or 3 times. And that's pretty amazing. However, I don't seem to be able to sell the course. Now, simultaneously, someone I know just became a pastor, and I'm a minister, and she asked me to help her with her ministry. And I feel like I'm doing the bare minimum there, just the regular things, and they're treating me like a rock star, as if there's something special about the way I do things. And I don't even see that yet with what I'm trying to do, which would give me an income. I'm starting to get into trouble because this month was the first month I saw a negative repercussion for income as far as bills, like a bill did not get paid. And I never saw that coming. I thought since I started this in March and had such great results, I wouldn't be in this position right now. So I'm not sure what's going on, really.
Oh, sure you are. You know exactly what's going on. You're not selling.
Okay, that's true.
So you know exactly what's going on. This is the thing that I'll tell you. We all know what to do. We're just not doing what we know we should be doing. And so you've got to practice making selling part of your identity. Just like I was talking earlier about, our presentation has to be practiced over and over and over again. Now, you have a modality that I'm sure you could speak on that you're very good at, but we want to make it a part of it, because you can't help anybody until you sell them. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So my thought is they're not buying.
No,
so
you're not selling.
Incorrect. Okay.
No, you're not given a reason to buy. So you've got to 10x your value obsession, and you've got to communicate effectively, because when we're selling, we're finding where somebody is, how we can solve their solution, and we've got to connect to them emotionally to solve it. Selling is the highest and lowest paid profession in the world. A great sales professional will always have an amazing economy. But, you said it earlier, I haven't been consistent. Well, if you're not consistent there, you're not consistent in selling, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so I would put your attention these 90 days, that every single day, I'm going to practice how I would speak to somebody in front of the mirror. I want you to get so good at your presentation. People are not ever rejecting a person, they're rejecting their presentation. And you want to remember that.
Okay, so my thought is they don't seem to understand energy healing.
That's because you're not communicating it effectively. So I love that you keep saying they, but you notice that you're never saying me. A great leader always understands and takes extreme ownership that your great successes you created, your losses you created. So we're the only problem, the only solution. You're being a victim to them. And
wow.
Yeah, you want to shift this, and we want to shift this, because if the results are one way, who do you think created them? the results always come from us, not to us. Wealth always comes from us, not to us. So if you really take in what I'm saying with an open heart and an open mind, you're going to use this as a motivator, because next time I talk to you, I want you to tell me, since you spoke to me, you've actually crushed your economy. You've transferred your genius and your passion towards your communication and listening so you can impact people on the greatest level.
So, do you see a message in what's going on with me in ministry and how I might be able to take whatever success I'm having there that I'm not even trying to have and have it in business?
Yeah, because you have a great relationship in ministry. You don't have a great relationship as business. You've got to see yourself as a great entrepreneur. So ministry, you let go completely and you're still selling. You're selling an idea. You're selling your emotions. So you don't have the same attitude. So you got to change the attitude to make it the same attitude you have in ministry. Like if you came with me, like I'm a huge sports fan. Like I'm just as passionate about sports as I am what I do here. Like I take my passion everywhere I go. You know, I don't just keep it locked in just for my work, you know, because I know like this is who I am. Like once you get comfortable with who you are, you're not wearing different masks at different places. Like I always say, if somebody doesn't like me, that's their problem. Like I like me. I can't worry about it. If somebody hates on one of my YouTube posts, God bless them. I can only control me. I can't control them. I can only control me. So we want to start really becoming great at controlling ourselves, and that takes daily transformation. It's daily transformation that creates personal freedom. You know, like these 4 hours, I wanted to give you guys. I mean, we charge so little for it, $29. Okay, I didn't have to do it. Mikey brought up the idea because we had created so much of an impact with multiplier results through the different cities and countries we did it to. I said, why don't we give it to everybody? And so it was more of a service. But what I can tell you is what I can do in 4 hours, if you work closely with me, it's going to be 50 times different. You know, so you have to invest in your personal mastery. Personal mastery is a currency that must be invested in. And you never accept the idea, I don't have the money, because you can always find the money if you make it a priority. I will tell you that. If I would have given up on it when I was losing big, I don't know where I would be today. I'd probably be back in the corporate world. I'd probably be limited at 100,000 a year like I was. And boy, thank God I didn't make that decision. Bet on yourself. Until you bet on you, we can't unleash our potential. Kill that ego that wants to stay in the comfort zone and hold a bigger idea of yourself. But please, if you stop shrinking, stop playing small. Every time you shrink to a challenge, you just took yourself back 2 years, literally 2 years. You are bigger and better than you're giving yourself credit for. You just are not operating with working on the cause of what's holding you back. The only thing that's holding you back is your thinking. It's the lack of discipline, the lack of consistency. And hell, if I can do this, anybody can do it. I promise you this. I promise you, bet on yourself. Let me help you. And in 6 months, you're going to be in a different life.
Well, I say yes to all of that. And I also say amen to Sister Farah, the comedian, to everything she said about Arash and Mikey. They are incredible. I hope you're listening. I hope you're hearing even what he's saying to the rest of us, because he's really tapped in. And I'm not going anywhere. I will not. And I will tell you, when he says to take his belief in you, last year I had one of the worst years of my life. And what pulled me into doing this business was hearing him remind me that I can do it. I believed his belief in me more than I doubted myself. So I hope you all can grasp that, because you're in the right place. And I know I am. So I say yes. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too. And I'm proud of all of you for being on this call. That you're spending your time on this call, you could have done anything on a Monday. And that is a really good sign of where you're going. Now we want to build the consistency to keep going and going and going, and see yourself as a beginner. I promise you, if you see yourself as a beginner, you're going to be in the top 0.1 of the 1%, living your life on your own terms and creating such impact in whatever you guys do in the world.